Hi, friends. Okay, so I am your host and friend, Leigh. Welcome to the Friendly Show. Um, I don't know if anybody's watching yet. I'm actually going to go over to Facebook right now and make sure that this is working. I'm just laughing because if you watch this live on the video, the video in Facebook or YouTube. I have like a circle face, like a circle in a black background, and I don't know why, and I don't know how to change it. I just spent the last few minutes trying to figure that out. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna roll with that today. because I have no clue what's happening or why this is happening. Yeah. So anyway, here we are. It's just so funny to me. I always laugh when, I have to do something techie and anything changes. And I think my husband was probably in here prior, doing a show, and that's why this looks like this. So anyway, here we are. Um, Let me just see if there's anything that I can do to change this crop layout. No, don't know. Don't know what's happening. Okay. So here we are. I'm just going to be the little bubble that you're going to see. Okay. So welcome to the show. If this is your first time listening, if you're listening in the audio version, I do not laugh through the entire show. If you're watching this in the video version, that is also not the case. Although we do laugh a lot on the show. If it's your first time listening, or watching, this is how I like to think about the show. I'm your friend Leigh, and I've invited you over to my home. We're sitting on the couch, we're talking. Maybe you've brought a friend. I've probably invited a few friends, and we're going to talk about a certain topic. And what we do is every month we have a theme, and then each week we talk about that theme and through the lens of one of the happy pillars from the happy framework. So this week we're going to be talking about partnerships, which is any relationship that you have. When you are even in passing with someone, you are in partnership with that person in that moment. And that moment is your life. So that person is in your life, even if it's just in passing on the sidewalk. Relationships or partnerships are also with people at work, people at home, people at school, um, people here in the hospital. And so the theme for this month is action. And I always say, Dalai Lama's quote, it's one of my favorite, that happiness is not something ready made, it comes from your own actions. And so that is why this is really, really important that we're talking about it for this month. And tomorrow, before I forget, tomorrow is, if you're watching this live, um, tomorrow is the first day of spring, but also it is International Day of Happiness. So I'd love to hear how you plan on celebrating International Day of Happiness. So we've changed the podcast up a little bit. That what we do is at the beginning of the show, I am going to give you some tactical tips, some things that you can actually start implementing in your own life around that topic. So today we're going to be talking about partnerships and action. And then what we'll do is we'll come back to here, and we are going to, if you have a comment, if you have a question, if you have any kind of insight that you want to share, and you comment, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitch, I will bring that comment up on the screen and you will be part of the show. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to look now with this little bubble, but hopefully it'll be okay. And then you become a part of the show. And then the last few minutes, maybe 5-10, maybe today I think it might be more like 5 minutes. Then we do a lightning round where we get to know our friends in the show. So I'm excited for that. But in the beginning, what I want to do is I do want to talk about the theme. And the title of the podcast for tonight, I called it Action in Relationships: Show Up, Speak Up, Step Up. And I looked at that kind of like it's a three-step process. Just because for me, I find it easier when I have to like take in information. If I can either take it in as an acronym, and so that's why I like the happy framework. It's to remember the five pillars: health, affection for yourself, purpose, partnerships, youthfulness. It makes it easy for me. We also have the action process that we do within our coaching and all of the other things that we're doing inside of the lab. And so acronyms really work for me, or stepped processes. And so it's not really like a three-step framework that you have to do one step, then the next step, then the next. It's just these three areas are really important for you to be thinking about. And so when we're talking about showing up in your relationships and taking action in that step, you want to be really present and engaged in your relationships. It's very easy to kind of take the people that we care about the most for granted, right? It's very easy that we go to work, and we're working 8, 9, 10 hours. And then when we get home, we're just like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to say a thing to anybody anymore. I just need to I need downtime. That's fine. And yes, it can be respected by the people in your family, and that's okay. But you're missing out on a lot because relationships really need work. And so we need to be making sure that we're giving in these relationships of our time and our attention. So some of the things that we can do is, especially if you're really busy, this is gonna not sound genuine, but to me it is. You need to schedule quality time. You need to schedule the time with your loved ones that you want to see. Put it on the calendar like it's an important meeting, because it is. And friends have teased me. I have a friend that's a coach, and she uses this example in her coaching all the time about how she reached out to me once. This was years ago. And she reached out to me once and was like, hey, let's go for a walk. And I was really busy. And I said, oh my gosh, I would love to. How's 6:30 in the morning on Wednesday of next week? And I know that sounds pretentious, maybe, but that was the only time that I had available that I would be able to do it. But I wanted to make the time to see her. And she was like, okay, let's do it. And that's what we did. We went for a walk that following Wednesday. I think she asked me on a Friday or something. And we went for the walk at 6:30 in the morning on a Wednesday. And it's better than saying, oh, I'm just too busy, right? Scheduling time is really important. So do that. Be fully present. These things right here, put it down. You don't want to be like, oh yeah, no, oh my gosh, I love you so much. Like, yeah, you're so important to me. I'm so happy we're having this conversation. Like, that's just not a nice thing, because as soon as you have the phone, if you have the phone, Simon Sinek explained it when he was like, okay, he started a presentation in front of an auditorium. And he says, if I am sitting here talking to you and you've paid me to do this speech, and I put this phone right next to me, are you going to think that you're the most important person in the room? Are you the most important thing? Or are you going to subconsciously, because it doesn't even have to be conscious, subconsciously, you're going to think, oh my gosh, well, he's just waiting for a phone call from somebody better, or something else is going to be more important than me. And so that he said in a speech that he was talking to hundreds of people. Imagine you're sitting with your loved one and you do the same thing. You're going to have dinner, and dinner might just be 20 minutes, half an hour, but you put your phone on the table. That's saying, I'm happy that we're doing this, but there might be something better. And I might want to pay attention to that. And that's not cool. So we need to be fully present, making eye contact, active listening while we're with them. And we want to check in regularly. Okay. So we want to just even sending texts just to say, hey, I'm thinking of you. Hey, how's your day going? You don't have to have a long conversation. We've talked about this before, that when it comes to relationships, sometimes it just matters that we're checking in, letting people know that we're thinking of them. If you're thinking of somebody, let them know. With the cell phone, with social media, it becomes very easy that we can be doing those quick check-ins. We don't want that to be the duration of our relationships, of course, but having those little check-ins help when we're doing all the rest of the things as well. So we want to make sure that we're showing up for the big and small moments. We want to be celebrating and supporting our partners, our loved ones, our friends, our family, our coworkers, all of them, not only in their celebrations, but also in their struggles. I've really, in this time that I've been in the hospital with my sister, I have really become acutely aware of who cares for me, like who really matters in my life. The people that have reached out and said, "Hey, I know this is a really tough time. I just want you to know I'm thinking of you. How's Jen?" Or just, "Hey, is there anything that I can do for you?" Um, and that it speaks volumes, right? When you're celebrating things and when you've got things going on and people are happy for you and, oh, this is cool, this is great. They want to be around you. They want to be in the limelight. They want to do all this. But then when there's the struggle, now there's also that piece that it's uncomfortable for people to be around people that are struggling because they just don't know how to show up. And I'll tell you, just showing up and being vulnerable and saying, "Hey, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know how to offer you help right now, but just know that I'm thinking of you." That's all that matters. So showing up for those big and small events and moments, and also for the good ones and the bad ones. There was, you guys know that I love talking about the science behind all this, the neuroscience. And there was a study from the University of Kansas, and I'm just going to read it because I don't want to get this wrong, but there was a study that they did, and they found that it takes 50 hours. Now, this is, of course, on average, right? 50 hours of interaction to move from an acquaintance to a casual friend, right? 90 hours to become real friends with somebody, and over 200 hours for close friendships. So, relationships of any kind, they really do require intentional time investment. And that's why sometimes we need to schedule it, but we need to be intentional. And that's why it's really important, especially when we're looking at wanting to build relationships. That is the easiest way, is to look at the relationships that really are energizers in our life that we want to keep and commit to, and then commit to them. So that little part is showing up. The next one is speaking up. And so we want to make sure that we're communicating honestly and kindly to the people that matter in our lives, but also to everybody around us. Because the more that we're able to cultivate a feeling of gratitude, of kindness, we get that back. It's science, it happens. So the more that we're, woe is me, my life sucks, everything sucks, then everything's going to suck. Whatever we focus on, we create, right? We get more of. So when we're talking about speaking up and communicating, we want to make sure that we're not only communicating our needs, but we also want to be expressing our appreciation for people. We want to be doing that regularly. We don't want to assume, again, going back to what I said in the beginning about how a lot of the times we take for granted our best and most valuable relationships. We want to make sure that we're not assuming that they know how we feel about them, constantly saying, how much you care about them, what matters. A good example is, this wasn't even with somebody that, is a big person in my life. It's the gal that comes and takes the tray. She gives the tray to my sister for food and then takes it. And she comes in every night and she'll be like, "Hey, Jen." Now, it's really easy for her to remember everybody's name because it says it on the little printout, right? But she'll come in and say, "Hey, Jen, how was your day? Here's your food." She might talk about like what kind of food she suggested or she got. And then when she picks it up, she's like, "Okay, sleep well. I'll see you tomorrow." And it's really nice. And I told her, I saw her in the hallway and I said, "I just want to let you know, that is really nice how you call your clients or patients by name." And she says, "You know what? I just want to make sure that they know that they're cared for. Not everybody has people in their room like your family. I want to make sure that they feel like they have somebody here." Like, how nice is that? So, another thing, when we're communicating, when we're speaking up, we want to be using I statements. We want to be making sure that we're talking about, especially when we're talking about our needs and how we feel, you want to talk about how you feel. So, "I feel hurt when this thing happens." Okay. This is how I feel. Instead, "You never do this for me," or "You always do that to me." You puts people on the defensive. And so we want to be speaking and communicating clearly, but also kindly and accurately. because it's not that they always or never do something. It's, this is how I feel. I feel hurt. And really it's on you, right? Because we get to choose how we feel about things. But if you want that action to kind of stop or to change, or at least for them to be aware of it, that's the best way to do it, is to use I statements. You want to learn to be able to say no with love, and you want to say yes with confidence. You want to be able to say, yes, I need this. Yes, I want this. Not, yes, this is what I need. Kind of, if you have time, if you can kind of do that, like, oh, and shy away. You want to be assertive and be able to say the things that you need, knowing that not everybody can give you what you need, right? But you do want to speak and communicate clearly about what you need. And then you want to ask deeper questions when you're having conversations with your family, especially, or your loved ones. You want to ask questions instead of just like, "Hey, how are you?" You want to ask, like, "Tell me something exciting that happened to you today." Or, "What are you looking forward to doing this weekend?" Like, ask something that gets people to just think a little bit deeper about it, instead of, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm good." And then that's it. So, there was, again, I got a little study here. So, the Gottman Institute, they are the leading relationship researchers. They found that happy relationships have a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions. So, what this means is that for every criticism that you give or disagreement that you have with your loved one, you need 5 positive interactions to maintain that relationship balance. So, we always talk about balance, and it's not going to be 50-50. In order for you to have that relationship balance, that it feels like it's a good, balanced out relationship, that balance is actually a 5-to-1 ratio. You have to give them compliments, kindness, laughter 5 times to counteract every one interaction that's negative. And so I want you to take time to really think about that, and think about how many times you are nitpicking and criticizing and disagreeing and having arguments. And that means that you have to have 5 times that. And it has to be the same intensity. Like, you can't have a huge argument and then be like, "Hey, I love your dress. Oh, you look great. Did you do your nails? Oh my gosh, I love your hair." Like, that doesn't work. You're gonna have to counteract that in the same intensity. So it's a lot easier just to be kind. Okay. But we are going to be criticizing, we are going to be disagreeing, we are going to be doing that, especially as we're learning to have better emotional intelligence. But as we're going through it, that ratio is really interesting to keep in mind. So then the last step is step up. So take responsibility and take action. Okay. So apologize when necessary. Make amends through action, not just through your words, not just saying, "Okay, sorry." And then the next time you go and do the exact same thing. Sit down, take accountability. We've talked about the love languages. That was a really good book, that 5 love languages. I think it's really good. I think it's good to be able to learn other people in your life. It doesn't even have to be your partner, but just other people in your life, what they need and what they feel is their love language. Speak to them in that, and take action on that. Be the person that you would want in a friend or in a partner, and show up as that, and support the people in your life, support their dreams. Because here's the thing, people have dreams, and a lot of people don't have support around those dreams. And you light up when you talk about what's exciting and what's possible. You light up, and those conversations are very different. And you can have a very intimate relationship with people if you can tap into their dreams, and then offering help, cheering them on, celebrating their wins. Okay. So there was also, again, so for each step, I grabbed a little bit of science. So there's research on emotional contagion, and this was done by the University of California, and they found that our emotions impact those around us. And we know that. But when you show up with kindness, with joy, with love, with happiness, with support, it actually elevates the relationship, and it strengthens your bond with that person. Okay. So, I'm going to go back. Now I want to go and I want to see the comments, the questions, all the things, and we can have a little bit of a conversation. We actually only have 9 minutes left because visiting hours are done at 8 o'clock. Wah, wah. But I want you to take action in your relationships today. Okay. So I want you to pick one small thing out of everything that we've just talked about. And I want you to do that for somebody in your life, whether it's somebody super close to you or somebody that you would like to build a relationship with. Maybe it's, your mother-in-law, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's somebody at work that you just don't quite see eye to eye in. I want you to take one of those steps and I want you to take action on that. Okay. And I would also love for you to invite some of your friends to this show so they can become a part of the conversation. So let's go over and see if we have anything going on here. And we do. Oh, okay. So here we go. Somehow, oh, thank you, honey. So Mike fixed my screen because I had no idea how to fix it. So thank you. And if you guys are into fantasy baseball at all, make sure that you check out Palazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's. He's amazing. That what they're doing over there, they've got quite a few hosts of different shows. Make sure that you're checking them out. So babe, if you're still watching this, thank you, thank you. So Pop says, morning, morning. Hey, Britt. Okay. And Mel, hey, hey, my beautiful friend. Well, hello, gorgeous. I'm so happy you're here. Mel says, I reminded Britt and almost forgot. Yes, I'm so sorry. I was going to actually reach out to you because I wanted to make sure that you two were on here, especially for the relationship conversation. And then I just got sidetracked with a bunch of stuff in the room before I came over here. So Mel says, yes, that's so true. And I see that with my students. It builds trust and bridges that connection. Okay, so what exactly were we talking about? This is the only downfall with me doing that segment first and then coming over here. But yes, so, oh, I love you too, honey. So just let me know on that. So I'm going to go and we're going to go through 3 questions. Okay. So we're going to do a lightning round. I'm going to ask 3 questions about relationships. And what you're going to do is you're going to put your answer. If this is the first time, maybe I'm a little bit nervous because my hubby's watching. So if you're watching for the first time, what we do is we do a lightning round of questions. I'm going to ask you 3 questions and I want you to answer them, but answer the first question and then push enter and put it in there so it can become part of the conversation. And then you can answer the second one. I will be asking them a couple times through the next few minutes. So you don't have to memorize each one. Okay. So, I've been doing this the last couple of weeks instead of coming up with them on my own. I've been asking ChatGPT. So they gave me a list of about 10. So I'm just going to randomly select 3 of them and see if they're any good. Hopefully they are. Okay. So, what is one small action that always makes you feel more connected to somebody? Okay, so I like that. So, not what you do to somebody else, but what's one small action that always makes you feel more connected? So, either that you do to them or they do to you. I love that. What's a green flag you look for in a strong relationship? That's a great one. And then what's a unique way you like to show love to friends or family? Okay. Okay. So those aren't bad. So let's go through those. So the first one that we had was what's one small action that always makes you feel more connected to someone? I'm going to say for me, just text messages. I know it sounds really like trite and like, oh my gosh, but I just love text messages because I'm a busy person and I just like when people like text me and say, "Hey, just thinking of you," or "Hey, how's it going?" And then they know that I don't need to we don't need to get on a phone call, but I know that they're thinking of me. I think that's really nice and very small, but impactful. Um, Mel says attitude, joy, and kindness. Oh, okay. That's what you were talking about with your students. That's awesome. Okay. So Pop says 1, saying good morning, beautiful, every day to Mel. Oh, I love that. That's great. And then Mel says hugs. Well, you would think that that's what I would have come up with. That is really good. I love that. Okay. So then the second question was, what's a green flag that you look for in a strong relationship? Okay. So for me, one of the biggest green flags are honesty. And not just like, oh, you always tell me the truth, but you tell me the truth that you are afraid that I might not want to hear. Those are the relationships that I care about the most, that people can say, hey, you know what, like, you said this thing, and they can call me out on it. Or they can ask me like, why are you playing small? It's just, if you can have a conversation with me, brutally honest, tell me where I'm kind of faltering and how I can grow, like, that is where I'm going to be like, this is a relationship that I want to be in forever. Yes, I get that with Mike. Of course, he's amazing. But I do have some friendships that are like that too, and that's what I look for. So I'd really like to hear what you guys have to say. Mel says they listen and hear my conversation. Yes. That's a big one. That's a really big one. Those are two different things. So that's a really good one. Britt says an active Christian walk. Oh, okay. Nice. Okay, so that's awesome. Yeah. That's important. I think that's great. I actually just had a conversation with a gentleman, and we were talking about that because he's really struggling, and I was just asking him, I can't remember how it came up. But anyway, it came up, and we were talking, and then like he was like, "Oh, where are you at right now? Like, are you at work?" And I said, "Oh no, I'm at the hospital with my sister." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, is there anything I can do?" And I was like, "Oh, just pray for her." And he was like, "Well, I don't really pray." And he was like, "But I will for you." And I was like, "Okay, thanks." And then I was like, "That was an interesting, like, these are the conversations I like to have." So I was like, "Oh, that was an interesting way to say it. So like, you don't pray? Like, what does that mean?" And um, so then we started getting into this whole thing about, you know, Christianity and Catholicism and all this kind of stuff. It's a really cool conversation. So I think it is important. But I think it's also just important for me anyway, to have those kinds of conversations, those honest conversations. Where are you at? I personally don't care where you're at with it. But I do like to have those conversations. So the last one was, what's a unique way you like to show love to friends or family? So I don't know if this is unique, but I'm going to say something that I've been doing with Mike, and it means a lot, is I leave him notes and he leaves me notes, and not every single day. So there'll just be like a surprise note here or there. And that is just kind of like a unique, and now that I'm saying it out loud, I think I'm going to do it more often with more people. And so it kind of like ties into the whole text messaging thing. But these are handwritten notes, and then we just leave them, usually in the kitchen, because we'll see it more often. But then sometimes in different parts of the house, or in the car, or whatever. So that's what I do. I like to think it's a little bit unique, but so do you guys have anything that you do that is a unique way of showing love to your friends or family? And then I think we're going to wrap up, unfortunately, because they are going to kick me out in about a minute and a half. um, Mel says, I love it when Britt leaves me notes. Isn't it nice? I think it's because we don't really get them, right? Like, the only time that I'm really writing things is my to-do list. So it is nice. And then Britt says, 3, I'm not sure. I used to leave notes for Mel before the depression. Okay, well, would you consider maybe doing it again? Um, to Britt, we hide the gnome. Okay. I think I'm gonna let that one go, because it sounds like that might have a little. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what this means. Okay, so oh, it's a game. Okay. I wasn't sure, but I thought, okay, enjoy your relationship. I love you guys so much. Thank you, all of you, for being here tonight. Um, I love you guys. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I'm actually really excited because next week I think we're going to be able to have a link. Babe, if you're watching this, please remind me that I need to set this up. I'm going to be able to give you a link that's the same link for every show that we do. So you don't have to worry about like finding. There we go. It is now 8 o'clock. So I think next week we are going to start having like kind of a set link that you only have to have one link, so you can put it in your calendar and you can set it up for every Wednesday from 7:30 to 8:30 Eastern, 6:30 to 7:30 Central. For the next couple weeks while we're in the hospital, it'll unfortunately only be half an hour shows. But it will be at 7:30. So I can't wait to see you then. And happy International Day of Happiness, you guys. And I will see you soon. If you're not part of the Happy Circle, make sure you get on over there. All right. Love you guys. Oh, Sarah's here. Came in late. Love you. Love you too, honey. Okay. Oh, and Britt says, laters, be well and prayers to you and yours. Thank you. Oh, I love you. Okay. Love you guys so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful week and happy spring. Bye.